Are we going to get an indictment soon? We don't know, because apparently there are still final witnesses that need to be presented before the grand jurors. Wall Street Journal has for us, the Trump grand jury hears from likely final witness. Robert Costello, a partner in the New York office, appeared before the grand jury at the request of Trump's lawyers. Now, Costello advised in 2018, advised Michael Cohen. And Costello is a lawyer, right? This lawyer, we'll play this clip, and he was representing Michael Cohen, who is the star witness for this entire saga. Former Trump lawyer, key witness in the hush money probe, while Cohen was facing federal scrutiny for multiple offenses. Cohen told a federal court Trump directed him, right? There's that intent, there's that mens rea, there's that guilty mind. Wanted him to pay Stormy Daniels $130,000 in 2016 to stop her from going public. He's also testified twice before the grand jury in Manhattan, considering evidence about hush money. Costello told reporters on Monday, after his 2-hour grand jury appearance, that Mr. Cohen gave him a different explanation for the payment details to Miss Daniels. In other words, Costello met with Cohen back in 2018. Cohen, Trump's still president at the time, Cohen tells Costello, his lawyer, hey, I made this payment. Trump didn't know anything about it. But then suddenly Cohen comes under the gun of, massive federal inquisition and prosecution, and he flips. They flipped him just like they flip everybody. Gave his lawyer a different explanation. Mr. Cohen said he silenced Mrs. Daniels to protect Melania Trump, Mr. Trump's wife, according to Costello. He did it on his own. He did it. Costello, who we'll listen to, has represented Trump allies, including Giuliani, said he tried to convey Mr. Cohen's comments to the grand jury, called Mr. Cohen totally unreliable. Your key witness is not even reliable at all. Says Mr. Cohen previously waived attorney-client privilege, allowing Mr. Costello to speak with the grand jury about his communications, about his internal communications, which is crazy. And I didn't realize this when we were listening to this yesterday, that Mr. Cohen had actually used him as a lawyer. And so Costello has all sorts of inside information about this. And he waived his attorney-client privilege, which gave Costello full reign to go out there and talk about whatever he wants. And he did. Robert Costello, Cohen's former lawyer, was on with Tucker Carlson, and he explained everything, including the fact that he had a waiver of attorney-client privilege, which enables Robert Costello to talk about everything. All the private emails, conversations that he had with Cohen are now fair game.
When I say once in a while, he did this at least 20 times and said, guys, I want you to know, I will do whatever the F I have to do.
Cohen.
I will never spend one day in jail.
That's Cohen
now,
speaking.
What he's saying is I'll lie, cheat, steal, shoot somebody. I will not spend a day in jail. Do you think a guy whose mentality is going to not admit that he has information on Donald Trump? But having said that, the DA's office didn't ask me questions to bring that up. And I brought it up anyway. I ignored their questions and simply gave them the information.
So they didn't ask him any really inquisition questions, inquiring questions about Cohen's credibility, his reliability, whether even his facts are accurate. Cohen said, Trump directed me to pay Stormy Daniels. That's not true at all. Sounds like Cohen did that of his own volition, and he communicated that to Robert Costello. So they would ask Robert Costello about that. Do you know anything that would deviate from this statement of our key witness? Well, they wouldn't want to ask those questions because it would wreck their entire inquiry. But Costello volunteered it anyways, just shoved it in there, said, hey, by the way, your witness is a liar and totally full of it.
I'm hearing rap in my ear, left and right. I'll continue if you want, but...
Which is interesting. So pro tip, if you're ever on the Tucker Carlson show, if you hear them telling you rap in your ear, probably not a good idea to comment about that live on the air. It's actually just a cue to you to wrap it up, but he felt the need to comment about it, which I'm sure Tucker really appreciated that.
Well, let me just ask you one final question, if it's okay, Mr. Costello.
Sure.
if you were the DA, if you were a prosecutor,
Good
and you were
save.
trying to be fair and honest and serve the law rather than a political agenda, you'd want to know that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I told them and told the grand jury today, I was deputy chief of the criminal division of the U.S. Attorneys for the Southern District. I said I wouldn't touch a witness like Michael Cohen for any amount of money. You simply cannot rely upon this guy. And tonight, he was on another station denying that he waived the attorney-client privilege. Here it is.
Boom.
In writing, and that's his signature on the second page.
Ooh,
So,
love that. Love that. So, yeah, I've got your emails. I've got your recorded notes. You know, what lawyers will do is when they're communicating with their clients, this guy, they're not friends, okay? This is Robert Costello representing Michael Cohen. So when Michael Cohen says, hey, I'm doing this thing, I need your advice, I need your guidance on this, what do I do? All right, those are all in emails. Those are all being logged. Robert Costello is logging that. He's saying, okay, I had a conversation with my client, bill him for half an hour. All right, what do we talk about? This, that, and the other thing. Here's my advice, okay? Close that, move on to the next client. Client 2, talk about this problem. Client 3, talk about this problem. And all of these emails or communications are being noted. He's writing them in notes in his system, or maybe he does handwriting in, physical files. I don't know. But he's got his literal waiver, and it looks like an actual, court document. This is like, it's a real actual document. It's not like an email. Hey, hey, are you waiving attorney-client privilege? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. No, this is like an actual document. You sure? You really want to do this? He typed it up, send it over to them, and Cohen signs it. Boom, there it is. And he's holding it up on Tucker. So however many million, Americans are watching that. So Cohen is full of it. The dude's just a liar out and out. He's through and through a liar. He's on TV saying, I didn't waive attorney-client privilege. Here's his signature right here from his own lawyer. All right, now I will tell you this. If you're a lawyer and you're out there talking about attorney-client communications like this, you don't do this unless you are about 1,000 million quadrillion % sure that has been waived, right? You don't just go out there and say, I'm pretty sure he waived it. Let me just walk on this tightrope a little bit and see if this is going to be anything I get in trouble on. No, he is 100% guaranteed certain that attorney-client privilege is no longer in existence, which is why he is now sharing all of this all over the place, as he should.
and that's his signature on the second page. So
That's unbelievable.
I guess he didn't know that, and the district attorney didn't know that.
They're just liars. They know. They're just liars. They don't care.
And I told them, Michael Cohen has been in your office 20 times and twice in the grand jury, and he forgot to tell you that he waived the attorney-client privilege 22 times? I mean, really, is this the kind of witness you want to ride to the finish
No.
line? Not in my book.
They don't. I think all they care about is the finish line. But
Yeah, they don't care about the means. They care about the end game. And so with that in context, I wanted to go back to this clip because
Grand jury.
this was him coming out of the grand jury yesterday. This is what he was explaining to them yesterday. Now we know that he is Cohen's former lawyer, and Cohen said, talk about whatever you want. I don't care. Go for it. And he did.
I'm the one who decided to do this. A lot of people cautioned me against it because I had nothing to gain. The only thing I'm doing is trying to tell the truth to the grand jurors because I read all these lies in the media that are being promoted by one side. If you see the full picture, listen, if they want to go after Donald Trump and they have solid evidence, so be it. But Michael Cohen is far from solid evidence. This guy, by any prosecutor's standard, and I used to be deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York, I wouldn't have touched a guy like Michael Cohen, especially if he's a convicted perjurer. Not to mention, as I said, the 50 to 100 lies he told us that are in those 330 emails.
How do you think you dissuaded the grand jury from indicting the former president?
I can't say that because you just don't know. I can't read people's minds. I could see certainly a few of them were doing what you're doing right now, shaking your head up and down, but not everybody. So I just don't know. I would love for those people to watch TV or something tonight or just remember what I said and say to the prosecutors, listen, we'd like to see the rest of those emails. Don't cherry pick 6 emails out of 330.
Crazy.
And then ask Costello questions about it. That's not fair by anybody's standard.
They don't care about fair.
That's pretty. I have a statement here. I'll give it to you people. Yeah.
They don't care about fair.
Stormy Daniels would dissolve
own money, not at the behest of Mr. Trump.
That's what he told us. Yes, not his own money, money that he borrowed pursuant to a HELOC loan.
The loan.
Yeah.
So Cohen gets the money to pay off Stormy. He's doing this all at arm's length from Trump. Trump doesn't know anything about this, which is, kind of, I guess, ideal for Trump. Now, I've never been involved in a situation like this, but I would imagine this is kind of a regular occurrence for people who are worth billions of dollars. Whether Trump had an affair with her or not, I would just imagine this is kind of a thing, right? Every year, I imagine, Elon and Trump and many other celebrities who are worth billions of dollars and have hundreds of millions of followers. It's just a numbers game, right? There's just a numbers game where you're going to have some people who are saying you did something you didn't do, especially if you've been alive for 70 years, and you've been working all that time. So I imagine there's sort of a process here. Now, Trump may have had something with her or not. It's kind of irrelevant in my mind to this. The question is whether Trump directed, Trump can direct the payment regardless of any physical conduct with Stormy Daniels, right? Just so we can just leave that all aside. We're talking about the elements of this case. We're talking about the check boxes and what the government needs to prove here. And in this case, we're talking about specifically intent. Did Trump make a volitional act to Cohen to say, use this money to pay off this person? And everybody is saying no. In fact, Michael Cohen said no. Cohen did all of this on his own. He didn't want to even bring Trump into the mix. He didn't bring Melania into the mix. He went and got a HELOC loan, paid off Stormy Daniels for that, and then basically dealt with the whole thing clerically.
And why did you take the loan, Michael? I wanted this secret. I didn't even want my own wife to know, much less Melania Trump.
Well, just to be clear, did he ever specifically tell you that Donald Trump does not know about this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
He said that. That's what he said at the time.
Yes, Trump said he did, no, I'm sorry. Trump didn't even say anything. Cohen said Trump did not know. I dealt with all of this. Trump had no idea about any of this, is what he told his lawyer, who testified under oath in front of the grand jury, which means there is no intent, which means this case is totally crap.
Is it true? I don't know.
Did you tell the grand jury that?
Yes, I did. But I had to force that into an answer. They were getting upset because they'd ask me a limited question based on one of these 6 emails, and I would volunteer information that I thought the grand jury needed to hear. Okay?
They didn't want to get to any facts of anything. They just wanted to skewer Trump. Fortunately, this guy jumped in there and decided he was going to spill the beans on their whole charade. We'll see if the grand jurors do anything with that. There it is. Michael Cohen, defendant. This guy actually already pled guilty to lying to Congress. This was his plea deal from November 29th, 2018. So Michael Cohen is kind of just a liar. United States versus Michael Cohen, charges and penalties. Your client agrees to waive the indictment and plead guilty to violation of 18 U.S. Code 1001A2. Your client understands this carries a penalty. Here's the plea, and here's the factual stipulations. Sentencing guidelines, estimated criminal history. So this is the plea deal. Let's take a look at the factual basis, the background. From 2007 to 2017, Cohen was an employee, and he made false statements to the U.S. Congress. He was testifying in front of the House Select Committee when they announced that they were going to conduct an investigation into Russia. Cohen caused a 2-page letter to be sent, branded the Moscow Project. And in the letter, Cohen knowingly and deliberately made false representations to Congress. So the dude's just a liar, and this was a plea deal that he signed. He already pled guilty to it, served his time. Special counsel Robert Mueller nailed him on that one. And so he's a known convicted liar, and the New York district attorney prosecutors, they are relying on him as their chief witness. They're bringing him in there to testify, even though his testimony is totally unreliable, and his own lawyer says he's a liar. That's Alvin Bragg. That's the New York prosecutor's office for you. Amazing.
Robert Costello was legal advisor to former Trump attorney Michael Cohen, who made the payment to Stormy Daniels. He joins us tonight. Mr. Costello, thank you so much for coming on. So we as noted, we can't know whether there'll be an indictment or what's in it. But from the leaks that you have read in, say, the New York Times, how do you assess this case?
Weak, to say the least. I just spent 2 hours or so testifying before the grand jury in downtown Manhattan, and I got my point across, although it was clear to me that the Manhattan DA's office did not want to get to the truth. I need to explain that a little bit. I called them up after I saw Michael Cohen on TV stating things that he said he was going to tell the grand jury and had told the grand jury that were contrary to what he told us when we first represented him in April of 2018. So I'm sitting at home watching these lies, and I said, I've got to do something about it. I don't represent Donald Trump, but I do stand for justice, and I think I have a legal obligation to inform both sides. So that's what I did. I had a ton of documents that I had prepared back in 2019 for the Department of Justice. The U.S. Attorney's Office called me up and said, Mr. Costello, we would like to talk to you about your representation of Michael Cohen. I laughed and said, can I presume you have a waiver of the attorney-client privilege? And they said, you presume correctly. I said, fine, send it over. I'll be delighted to talk to you. That waiver is very clear. And once we had that, I prepared 330 emails, a bunch of text messages. I prepared a contemporaneous report of our first meeting with Michael Cohen at the Regency Hotel in Manhattan, as well as a contemporaneous notes of the interview I had for 2 hours with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, as well as contemporaneous notes of an interview by the House Committee on Intelligence, who sent 3 investigators to my office, one of whom is now Dan Goldman, a congressman here in New York. So I had all of this material ready. I sent it to Donald Trump's lawyer, and I sent it to the Manhattan DA's office. And I contacted the Manhattan DA's office, and I asked, could we meet with Alvin Bragg? Because I wanted to present this to Alvin Bragg as I had presented it to the Southern District. I wanted him to look me in the eye and assess my credibility. Did I have more credibility than Michael Cohen? Because Michael Cohen, in my opinion, was lying about just about everything. I specifically told them that there were 2 main points that I wanted to make clear. That Cohen had told us that when we first met him, that he was suicidal. Why is that important? Because when you're suicidal, thinking that that's the only way out of your legal mess, and you're presented with the following options, that you can cooperate against Donald Trump and provide information that would get you a get-out-of-jail-free card, and you respond to us, I do not have any information on Donald Trump. And he said it many times during that 2-hour meeting. I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. And I had my law partner who knew Michael Cohen for 10 years on Columbia Grammar and Prep School here in Manhattan because Cohen was on the board of directors.
Yeah.
And when I heard him say that he was suicidal the weekend before, standing on the roof of the Regency Hotel, I didn't know whether he was a drama queen or telling the truth. So I looked at my partner, and he shook his head and nodded, I think he's telling the truth. And later on, we got that corroborated by the Reverend Jerry Falwell and his wife, who had dinner with Michael Cohen, who told him the same thing. Why is that important? Because when you're willing to give up your life in order to avoid these legal troubles, when they're insurmountable to you, and you're offered a way out, so all you have to do is cooperate on Donald Trump. Do you have anything on Donald Trump? And he says no repeatedly. I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything. Then you know that you've got a guy who probably doesn't have anything. It's certainly easier to give up information on Donald Trump than it is to kill yourself. On top of that, while he's making these speeches during 2-hour period, he's marching up and down on the other side of the conference table like a tiger in the zoo, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He looked like he hadn't slept in 5 days. He looked like somebody who was suicidal. And every once in a while, he would stop and point at us. And when I say once in a while, he did this at least 20 times and said, guys, I want you to know, I will do whatever the F I have to do. I will never spend 1 day in jail. Now, what he's saying is I'll lie, cheat, steal, shoot somebody. I will not spend a day in jail. Do you think a guy whose mentality is that is going to not admit that he has information on Donald Trump? But having said that, The DA's office didn't ask me questions to bring that up. And I brought it up anyway. I ignored their questions and simply gave them the information. I'm hearing rap in my ear, left and right. I'll continue if you want, but
well, let me just ask you one final question, if it's okay, Mr. Casello.
Sure.
If you were the DA, if you were a prosecutor and you were trying to be fair and honest and serve the law rather than a political agenda, you'd want to know that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And I told them and told the grand jury today, I was deputy chief of the criminal division of the U.S. Attorneys for the Southern District. I said I wouldn't touch a witness like Michael Cohen for any amount of money. You simply cannot rely upon this guy. And tonight, he was on another station denying that he waived the attorney-client privilege. Here it is, in writing, and that's his signature on the second page. So
that's unbelievable.
I guess he didn't know that, and the district attorney didn't know that. And I told them, Michael Cohen has been in your office 20 times and twice in the grand jury, and he forgot to tell you that he waived the attorney-client privilege 22 times? I mean, really, is this the kind of witness you want to ride to the finish line? Not in my book.
I think all they care about is the finish line. But I sure appreciate the information that you brought us tonight.
You're
Robert
quite
Casello,
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.